The scene was set in Copenhagen. A crisp autumn sky, crowds lining the cobblestone streets, flags waving in red and white. Everyone expected a formal royal arrival, elegant, predictable, traditional. But what unfolded shocked not only Denmark, but also Spain. Princess Leonor arrived. Not timid, not hidden, not overshadowed by protocol. She stunned. And suddenly, a moment that was supposed to be ceremonial became unforgettable. Why? Because this was not just an arrival. This was a declaration. Princess Leonor of Spain, the future queen, stepping onto Danish soil, embraced by Queen Margrethe II, and met with applause that seemed to echo across Europe. Yet behind the applause, whispers began. Why was this visit so significant? Why was Spain watching so intently? And why did Danish royal protocol bend in her favor? To answer that, we need to go back to Leonor's childhood, back to the shaping of a princess who is no ordinary heir. Leonor was born into destiny. From the moment she opened her eyes in Madrid, the weight of Spain's monarchy rested upon her shoulders. Her father, King Felipe VI, and her mother, Queen Letizia, knew that Spain's fragile trust in its monarchy would someday depend on her. And so, every move, every word, every appearance mattered. For years, Leonor was shielded, protected from the harshest glare of the press. But now, at 18, she is stepping out. And not just in Spain. Her arrival in Denmark carried layers of meaning. Denmark's monarchy is one of the oldest in Europe, anchored in tradition yet admired for its modern touch. For Queen Margrethe, welcoming Leonor was not just a gesture of hospitality, it was a recognition of a future queen standing in her own right. The fans who gathered knew it. They had come to see more than protocol. They had come to see whether Leonor could carry herself like royalty, not just in Madrid but on a European stage. And she did. Her entrance was poised, her smile warm, her attire carefully chosen to nod at both Spanish elegance and Danish minimalism. Every camera clicked, every spectator leaned forward. And in that moment, Spain's princess captured Denmark's heart. But this is where the story deepens. Because while the crowd was enchanted, the Spanish palace was cautious. Some saw this as a simple diplomatic visit. Others whispered it was more, a quiet test of Leonor's ability to charm abroad, to prepare her for an era when Spain's monarchy must win not only loyalty at home, but respect across borders. And then came the surprising gesture. Queen Margrethe did not simply greet Leonor at the palace. She embraced her. A grandmotherly, warm, unguarded embrace, rare for a monarch so steeped in tradition. It was a signal, subtle yet powerful, that Leonor was not just another guest. She was being recognized as a peer in the making. Why does this matter? Because monarchy thrives on perception. The moment one royal family validates another, it shapes how the public perceives their legitimacy. For Spain, this was crucial. For Leonor, this was transformative. Still, with every moment of praise came another layer of speculation. Was this embrace a way to strengthen ties between Spain and Denmark? Or was it something deeper, an attempt to signal solidarity between two royal women, both aware of the pressures of inheritance, duty, and scrutiny? As the ceremonies unfolded, more curiosities emerged. Leonor was not simply present. She was given prominence. The placement at official events, the attention in speeches, the way Danish media covered her, it all suggested she was more than just a visitor. She was being introduced to Europe as Spain's undeniable future. And that stunned Spanish fans. Back home, people watched live coverage, their eyes glued to the screen. They saw Leonor holding her own, not shrinking, not faltering. For a nation that has often questioned the endurance of its monarchy, this was reassurance. But reassurance can also awaken tension. Inside the Spanish royal household, not everyone welcomed the level of attention Leonor commanded. Some courtiers feared it overshadowed King Felipe. Others whispered about Queen Letizia's carefully controlled influence being tested. The dynamic was shifting. Could Spain's monarchy truly afford to hand so much spotlight to Leonor so soon? This question hung in the air as Leonor walked the grand halls of Amalienborg Palace. Every chandelier sparkled above her, every portrait of Danish kings and queens seemed to look down with approval. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. Here was a young woman being measured against centuries of tradition, and meeting the standard. Yet another loop opened. If Leonor could charm Denmark, could she charm Britain next? Could she someday stand alongside the heirs of Europe, not as the youngest, but as the most admired? And what did this mean for her personal life? Already, whispers swirl of suitors, of alliances, of marriage that might one day bind Spain's monarchy even closer to another royal house. Denmark's warm reception only fueled the speculation. Still, Leonor kept her composure. Her speeches were short but heartfelt. Her gestures were modest yet commanding. She seemed aware that every blink, every glance would be dissected. And fans loved her for it. They saw not just a princess, but a future queen carrying herself with grace. But make no mistake, this story is not without its tensions. Every smile hides a burden. Every embrace hides an expectation. For Leonor, this was not just about being welcomed. It was about proving she is ready. And the world was watching. When the official events concluded, Leonor did something that caught even more attention. She greeted ordinary Danish families, children waving Spanish flags, students who had learned her name. She stopped. She listened. She spoke. And in those small, unscripted moments, she broke through the barrier of distance that often isolates royalty. That is what stunned royal fans. Not just the grandeur, not just the embrace of a queen, but the humanity of a young woman destined for a throne who still seemed reachable. And so, the questions keep circling. Was this just the beginning of Leonor's international debut? Will more countries invite her, more palaces embrace her? And most of all, how will Spain react as their princess becomes Europe's darling? What began as a simple royal visit has now become a story of transformation. A princess arriving, a nation watching, a monarchy shifting. Princess Leonor's arrival in Denmark was supposed to be ceremonial. Instead, it was historic. And as Spain looks at its future queen, they do so with renewed pride, cautious hope, and the unshakable memory of a day when their princess stunned the world. Because sometimes, a single arrival can change everything.